শুনতে পাচ্ছ সবাই?
হ্যাঁ স্যার।
Okay, good morning everybody. Today we're going to start about the import and exports of drug and cosmetics. In previous classes, we have a small introductions about the import and export of drugs and cosmetics. Basically, as usual, it is an importance on the import of drugs and cosmetics. So now, today, we have to know about the what type of categories of the drugs are imported under the drug and cosmetics. So now, uh, up to the implementations of the import of drug and cosmetics, some new drugs also added in this category for import in various countries or in India. So now, in coming to the categories of the drugs which to be imported under the license of licensing authority. Now already you know about the Schedule C, Schedule C1 and the Schedule X drugs. Schedule C, Schedule C1 are consist biological and parenteral types of and some other antibiotics are also included in this category. And Schedule X drugs, you know that it is a narcotic category of the drugs. All narcotic categories of the drugs under the Schedule X. So separately, we have to go know how to import these types of Schedule C and C1 and the X drugs. So when any company or any manufacturing firm is going to be import any Schedule C, C1 and X drugs, it have needed special permissions from the licensing authority or custom officers, because the biological and the parental drugs are some risk factor consist, and biological products have consist some impurity if anybody is mixed with it, or parental product is consist in an impurity profile. After getting the injections, the human should be in ill or they should be died in any kind of negligence is happened with these drugs. So we have to consider to confirm about the what type of drugs it has to be imported from the importer country. So first, those company are going to be import the Schedule C and C1 drugs. He has a authorized consent form from the licensing authority. This form name is Form 9. It is called the Form 9. And Form 9 included the all categories of the drugs. Means if any manufacturer agent of India, he is the manufacturing agent of the India, and he is going to be import from any type of drugs, including C1, C and C1 drugs, he has to be filled the Form 9 from the licensing authority. This Form 9 consists some legal authorizations like what type of drug you have to carry on from the importer country, what is the strength of these drugs, what is the quality of the drugs, etc. etc. So all those things you have to be filled in the Form 9 and submit into the licensing authority. After submitting, the licensing authority give the permissions or grant the permissions to the manufacturer that you have eligible to get the license, and after verify obviously, and you have sent or get the imported drugs, it is Schedule C or Schedule C1 or other drugs confirmed. But when any manufacturer country, they have imported the Schedule X category of drugs, means narcotic drugs, morphine, codeine, opium, cannabis, these types of drugs or crude drugs, they have to import it from the importer country under Schedule X drugs. They have filled the 8 and 8A form. What is 8? Form 8 and Form 8A. Previously, when any country or any manufacturer firm, they have carried the importers of Schedule X category of the drugs, they have only filled the Form 8. But now, in the year of 2012 to 2017, they already attached another form. It is called the Form 8A. Now, they have filled the both form, Form 8 and as well as Form 8A. The both form consist an applications for an import license is made to the licensing authority in Form 8 and Form 8A for drugs extending or excluding those specified under Schedule X. Those drugs under specified under the Schedule X category of the drugs, so they have to fill the Form 8 and Form 8A for getting the license or getting the approval. So Form 8A for the drug specified in Schedule X, either by the manufacturer himself or having a valid wholesale license for the valid or distribution of the drugs under these rules. Next, after filling those types of form and submitting to the licensing authority, the licensing authority send a inspector to verify the total area of stock where they take the samples or import the drugs and stock in their manufacturing farms. The first premise is that the imported substance will be stocked by the importer and should be well equipped, means all types of temperature related programmings, all types of humidity related programmings and other equipments, it should be there which control the humidity and temperature which need according to the specified product which is stored in the manufacturing farm or manufacturing area. So after verifications by the inspector, they have checked this company have proper drug license or manufacturing license or selling license is there or not. If they have the proper drug selling license, drug license or manufacturing license, they have get the importer license from the licensing authority. After verification of the license, they have checked the all record books present in the manufacturing area. The all types of license and license verifications, they have to mention or they have to record in a record book, and as well as the record books consist like the sold history, details of the manufacturing of the drug. Sold history means what type of drug they have sold in that day, or mention the which date they have sold and what is the amount of the drug they have sold, or it is and the manufacturing and the expiry details of the drugs. After mentions all of this in this record books. Next, the authorized inspector inspect the all types of records and premises. If they are required, so they take the samples from the sampling area. After sampling area, they have to go for test and analysis. So all things, if it is going with the general category of the drugs like Schedule C and Schedule C1, so you have to comply with the rules and regulation of the Form 9. Okay, so this is the total details of the import of Schedule C and C1 and the Schedule X category of drugs under central government of licensing authority. Now come into the second category. This is the import of drugs for examinations, test or analysis. Some of the country or some of the manufacturing area or manufacturing farm, they have some requirement to check the samples, test the sample, analyze the sample. After analytical test, they have confirmed that whatever he want to import from this country, this is that product. Okay, so after analysis, they confirm about the imported drugs. But before importing, they have take or import a small category of the drugs, small quantity of the drugs. So this small quantity of drugs can be imported for the purpose of examination, test or analysis. If any company have the drug specified that this particle size is that micrometers, its bulkiness is that and its crystal properties is that. So all those confirmations they have first done that whatever drug we have to go for import from a manufacturing country or manufacturing area. So first we categorize some parameters that this parameter we have to follow during the import of country, import of drugs. So after confirmations, what happened? They take small quantity of sample from the importer country. That first they have sent a small quantity of sample to the manufacturing area. They confirm about the what type of drug they have import from that country, and it is okay. So after getting the confirmations, they have ordered a large amount of drug which has to be imported from these manufacturing industries. So they should follow another form. It is called the Form 11. So what is Form 11? Form 11 is a granted for the import of small quantities of drugs for the purpose of examination of testing. When any manufacturing industry they have ordered a small quantity of drugs or import small quantity of the drugs for only for testing or examinations, they have to fill the Form 11. This is the specializations of the Form 11. So before the Form 11 they are filled and submitted to the licensing authority. The licensing authority verify the forms and what type of samples they have to get these manufacturing industries, what is the strength and what is the amount of drugs. So samples takes for the analysis from the specified area mentions in the license always, because where they take the samples and store it. This storing area, what is the capacity of the storing area, and what is the factors they are doing with this the manufacturing area or the storing area, they are mentioned in the license form or Form 11. So after mentioning that, one authorized inspector to enter these inspecting premises and investigated the substances. Okay. So all category of investigations is confirmedly done by the inspector, and they write the report and submit to the licensing authority. After they verify the report and they match the verification report with the Form 11. That Form 11, whatever they are mentions that it is matched with the verification report or not. If this is matched, so it is fine. If it is not matched, so they again call the pioneer of this manufacturing area and should confirm about that. So what are the mismatches there? So they have take down that these are the mismatch is confirmed by the inspector, and you have to recovery this mismatch and again call for inspections. So manufacturing pioneers they have confirmed about the mismatch whatever is there. So they recover it, repair it, and then again calling for the inspections. So again the inspector is coming to the manufacturing area. They confirm about that they have repairing or recovery the mismatch area, and it is compiled with the Form 11. So then again they send a verification report to the licensing authority, and he confirmed about that. Okay, so they giving the license. So after getting the license, all things should be recorded in a registered books like a report, imported quantities, what type of quantities they have to imports, date of imports, quality of the products, strength, etc., etc. All has to be uh, take it, keep records in a registered books. So after license and comply with any further requirements may be specified. If again futures any types of another requirements is needed in the license, the first you have to fill the Form 11 that we have tried to import these types of drugs. Previously we have imported paracetamols. Now we have to go for imported the amoxicillin. So about the amoxicillin, the product category, and what type of temperature and humidity is required for the amoxicillin storage area, again mentioned in the Form 11. Again submit into the licensing form, licensing authority. Again inspector come verify it, and this previous license they have take and the mentions here they have eligible for transport or import the amoxicillin API or active pharmaceutical ingredients. So these types of confirmations you have to mention or maintain during the import of small quantities of the drugs. Now coming to the next category, this is the import of drugs for the personal use. If anybody is trying to import some drugs or cosmetics for personal use, personal means it is a very small quantity. If anybody is trying to import some strips of tablets, So they have to, it is a small quantity of the products. So drugs sell from the part of the passenger bona fide baggage. So when anybody is try to import some personal use of drug, it is under the passenger bona fide baggage. It is called the passenger bona fide baggage, and it is also under the exclusive personal use of the passengers. Okay, so this total process is under the custom authorities. The custom collectors, the custom inspectors, they have dealing with the import of the drugs for personal use. Okay, when anybody is going to import the personal use of product, this is verified by the custom authorities or the custom inspectors. So first they have to select what kind quantity of drugs they have imported. So first the quantity of any single drugs imported, this is a cannot be exceed the 100 average doses. So they have imported when any kind of Schedule X category of the drugs or Schedule C or Schedule C on drugs. You should confirm about that. It is not exceed the 100 average dose, but now it is not uh, mentions in this during the importing of the personal use, because all online platform is present is there when they are imported or get the personal use of drugs. They have not mentions any kind of the doses they have to fixed dose they have to import it from the personal use. But the one process is there. There is a one bona fide applications is required for the licensing authority, okay, or the custom authority. First, you have write a bona fide consent form that I am getting or import these types of drugs or importing these types of drugs for personal use, and this is my consent form, and I submit it to the license authority. And they have attached a perfect prescriptions with this bona fide form, and this prescription it should be written by a registered medical practitioner or a doctor. A doctor is specified or prescribed a few amount of drugs that it is attached with the licensing form, and after attached they are getting the eligibility for importing the drugs for the personal use. But this process is now stopped because different online platform is present there for the parts importing of drugs for personal use. Okay. Now come, it is the most important, it is the importing of the new drugs. All of you know about that some new drugs when synthesized or discovered. This is under the IND, investigational new drugs. These investigational new drug authorities, they have mentioned or maintained the importing of the new drugs, or all of those things are dealing with the new drugs, they control it. So new drugs when come into the market, so this is basically in a clinical trial or into the last phase of the clinical trial, like post marketing surveillance. Means all clinical trials you should done, only the marketing surveillance is remaining. So that kind of new drugs, when any laboratory is trying to get it by importing countries of new drugs, they have some category, and this is category come into under the Schedule Y. Schedule Y means refers to requirements and guidelines to be followed in order to attain permission of importing or manufacturing new drugs to market or to undertake clinical trial in India. Means the Schedule Y is maintain the all importing drugs or manufacturing of the drugs in case of new drugs. All or it is under the clinical trial. This total process is maintained by the Schedule Y. So when new drug is discovered, we don't know, we have no idea that it is safe for human or not. It is harm for human or not. So first we have to confirm about the new drugs. But when any laboratory is already working on these drugs and they have imported these drugs, synthesized drugs, so that time they have need a special permissions from the licensing authority. So they get the about the permissions, written permission to the licensing authority by some process, And after getting the licensing, they're applying the drugs from the importing countries that we have get the eligibility for license about the licensing authority under the schedule 9, schedule Y, and they sent this confirmation to the importing countries for importing of the new drugs. So they get this certificate that this company is eligible for getting the new drugs, and they send the new drugs with a small pouch into the uh, manufacturing area or laboratory. Okay, so this is the total process of import of the new drugs under the uh, schedule Y. Now coming to the last categories of the drugs, it is the import of drugs by government hospitals or autonomous medical institutions for treatment of patients. Every year, governments have choose some industry. It is government industry as well as private industries, manufacturing industry. And these industries has responsibility to supply the some hospitalized product or hospitalized formulations or tablets, capsules, etc. Like paracetamol, it is the most common hospital supplied drugs, and this should be prepared by some government recognized industry or private industry. They are prepared, they are formulated, they are punched, the all types of tablets, packaging materials, all has to be supplied by the government, and they are just prepared, packaged, and sent to the government hospitals. So these types of government hospital drugs has to be imports for various patients, treatment of various patients in different areas. Something like in Kolkata, any hospitals, they have uh, take some authority from an industry, and they prepare some hospital supply drugs. They prepare, and some village they send some samples or import some drugs into the some village area hospitals where the drug transport possibility is less. Okay, and they have no regulatory or they have no permissions to prepare a drugs or prepare a tablet by using a industries. So Kolkata based hospitals, government hospitals, they prepare these tablets or formulation and send to the village area hospitals. And these types of required for the in case of emergencies cases or life-threatening disease or serious permanent disability. These types of uh, disorder when happen, they send the government manage these types of possibilities. So before going to send these drugs, one government inspectors come in to verify the imports, government hospitals verify, and after verifications, they also go to verify the import where they try to import these types of tablets or formulations in the village. So they again verify this village hospital also. After verification of two systems, they get a consignment form, and this way the government hospitals send or import the tablets or capsule to the village hospitals, depending on the life-threatening disease and the serious permanent disability. And this is done under the form of 12AA, which is the most important. 12AA form is regularized only in case of critical situations like corona. Corona, in case of coronavirus or pandemic situations, it is a critical situation. This time, the government have regularized the 12AA forms because wherever they send to samples or any places, so that time they have going to the under the sections of the form of 12A. 12A form regularized only for imports of the drugs in case of government hospital from the another hospital in case of the critical situations. Okay, so only for critical situations they have import the 12A form. Now come into the what are the procedure you have to maintain during the import of the drugs. So in case of the import of the drugs, any drug cannot be imported unless it is packed and labeled in conformity with the prescribed rules. So any drug you have to be sent or imported They have a prescribed rules. They have a specified rules that this is our product strength, this is our product dose, this is our product packaging quality. So in between one of them it is less, or packaging quality or level unique conformity is less or poor. So that time you cannot import it any drugs under the licensing. So first you have to check that what type of packet or what type of label you have to use for importing the drugs. Check all and recovery those things and then send you the imports for the drugs. Next, coming to the invoice or the other statement showing in the name and address of the manufacturing and the name of the quantities of the drugs you have to be included. First, you have to check that in case of post of the import of the drugs, you have to mention the address of the manufacturing area. So you give the wrong address, it is going to be sent in a wrong address or import in a wrong address. So first you confirm about the address of the manufacturing firm, and after confirmation of the address, first you write the what are the quantities of the drugs you have to send, the name of the drugs and the quantity of the drugs you have to mention in the labeling of the packaging area. After mentions, you have to send this product. If the drugs complies with the provision of the act and the rules, or if requested by an officer appointed for this purpose by the central government, and take the samples. So first your drugs or strength of the drugs, quality of the drugs complies with the rules and regulations present under the act. So you have to confirm that your drug is okay for transport, and then you have sent the drugs in a small quantity into the central government for testing or take the samples. So after confirmation of the sent for the sample for analysis, after analysis they can take a report that your drug is actually matched with the under the provisions of the act and rules, and your strength is okay, your quantity is okay, and your drug is okay, and it is consist any type of impurity, it is not consist any type of impurity. So you have to eligible for import the drugs. So if the importer gives an undertaking in writing or consent of the custom collectors. So during the sample analysis, the importers gives a undertaking in written consent from the custom collectors that in himself he has dispensed the samples and get to the custom collector or the inspectors. So all things, all the provisions are done under the chapter 3. Chapter 3 means all the procedure of the import of the drugs is under the act and rules regulations of the drug and cosmetics, chapter 3 under. Okay. So this chapter 3, this all procedure of imports, they are mentioned in the chapter 3, and how to standard quality of the drug you have to import with a proper labeling and the packaging quality, and import the drugs in the particular area. So all those details and mentions in the chapter 3 of the act. And if your products is not good quality of any type of dispute is found in your products during the import, this is your side or the manufacturer side. If you import some drugs or you have import or transfer the drugs into any manufacturing area, so any type of dispute is happening in the both side, so it is directly come back into the manufacturer within 2 months. Within 2 months, the consignment is back into the manufacturers or you. So these are the procedure for import of the drugs. Now we some discuss about the what are the places which drugs is maybe imported into India. Okay, so this is not important. Just remind in keep in mind some places that you have to import the drugs and cosmetics by railway or by sea or by the air. In freeway, you have to import it the drug and cosmetics. The first cantonment is a Firozpur cantonment on Amritsar railway stations. in respect of they have a connections by the railway with the Pakistan. Any type of drugs is import by the Pakistan or transferred to the Pakistan by the Firozpur cantonment and Amritsar railway. They are maintaining it. Next one is the Ranaghat, Bonga, and the Mohishams railway stations. They have a connection, directly connection with the Bangladesh because Bonga and Ranaghat they have the nearer station of the Bangladesh, and they have connected with the importing of the drug and cosmetics by the those stations with the Bangladesh. Next in the Petropol roads in West Bengal and Sudharkandi in Assam, Old Ranga Bajar and Agartala in Tripura. Those are states or city in respect of drug import. Directly, it is also related by the road from the Bangladesh. They are first, it's a Bonga, Mauritius. They have the connection with it by the railway station, and by road, this is Tripura, Uttarakhandi, and Petripur roads are maintain the transport of the drug and cosmetic by the road directly from to the Bangladesh. Ruxol in respect of the drugs imported by road and railway. Both road and railway they have maintained by the Ruxol lines connecting directly into the Nepal. They have Ruxol to Nepal by the road and by the railway. They have sent or import the drug and cosmetics. Last, and another is the Chennai, Kolkata, Mumbai, Kochi. These types of ports in Goa also used directly sea into the India. Drugs imported by sea. So due to sea, they have mentioned some port. So these ports are mentioned in the Chennai, Kolkata, Mumbai, Cochin. The ports they are mentioned. Chennai, Kolkata, Mumbai, Delhi, and Ahmedabad, Hyderabad, Goa, Bengaluru. These types of places are used by air to transport or import the drugs into India. In between India, by this way, by these airports, we have to use the import category of the drugs and cosmetics in between the India. Okay, so these are the places by which through we can connect it with some country, we can connect it with our country by these places. Okay, now come into the what are substances are exempted from the provisions relating to the importing of the drugs. Exempted means prohibited or the objectionable drugs, substances. Those drugs we have no authority to import with the drugs. We can import separately, but we can not import with the drugs. So what type of category? If those category or those substances have no medicinal use. So that's why we can take the risks for import with the drugs imports. When any company is trying to import any drugs, that time other substances you have to import it with this packet. So this is a illegal or this is exempted or provisionized. So these types of products like some food products is under in this category. We know that some food products or supplementary products are available in our chemist and druggist shops. But this is not drugs. This is only food supplements. So these food supplements we cannot import by the drug packets. So like condensed pure milk, fortified with some vitamins and minerals, powder milk, cerelac, lactose. Those types of are the food supplements, but not the drugs. They have no therapeutic use. But somebody have take risks to carry these types of products with the drugs from the importer countries. So what happened? So separately importing charges is not to be given by him. One charges they have give, but taking or importing the two types of category of product. One is drugs, one is supplement, food supplement within one package. So this is exempted or provisionized. So in the they are in the import in case of they are importing these types of product by the porting or under the custom authority, they have first confirmed about because they check the packet. They have category what type of category they have to import it. If this is only drugs and this is therapeutic value, okay, so this is okay. But with these drugs packets, these types of products is present is there. So already that time in the moments it is cancelled. So order or import is cancelled, and they have to fine some of about this crime. Okay, so come into the another process. It is any drugs or cosmetics likely to involve any risks to human is being or animals. Okay, so any drugs is harmful. So any drugs is harmful. So involve in risks to the human beings or animals. So these can be uh, cancers during the transports. Any drugs does not have the claimed therapeutic value. First, usually when you have mentioned that it is have a therapeutic value, but after testing or after analysis, they confirm about that it has no therapeutic value. So automatically it has to be rejected. Any packaging related problems. Okay, any drugs you have to transport from the any importing countries, but your packaging is damaged, or your packaging is breakdowns, your glass bottles is breakdowns. Okay, so glass container is breakdown. So these types of disputes is happening with the packaging materials. So it has to be rejected that time in the uh, presence of the custom inspectors or the license authority inspectors. So these some of the products we have to prohibit or exempt it under the licensing authority. Now come into the last part of the importing of the drugs. This is the what are the offenses and what are the penalties we have going with this importing of the drugs. So including when we talking about the offenses means any company or any manufacturing area they have transported or imported the adulterated or spurious drugs, or they have tried to import the adulterated or spurious drugs or cosmetics or any ingredients which may render it unsafe or harmful for our body for human use under the directions recommended. So if it's in the first phase they have convict, so they have the first convictions, and then he have subsequently done this process to have subsequent convictions. So in case of these types of offenses, as the first convictions is they have imprisonment up to 3 years, and they have fine up to 5,000 rupees. Okay, and subsequent conviction if there they have imprisonment is increases up to 5 years and fine up to 10,000 rupees. So this is case of the first types of offense. If anybody is trying to import and drugs or cosmetics other than the referred above, okay, and they have sent some types of other products like they have sent it the in presence of paracetamol, the another products they have sent. Okay, but or they have sent the another product which has some therapeutic value, but it is not like the similar drugs. They have a first convictions and the subsequent conviction is also there. In case of first convictions, they have to 6 months, okay, and fine up to rupees 500, or both they have convicted. And in case of subsequent convictions, imprisonment up to 1 year or fine up to 1,000 or both. Import of any drugs or cosmetics in contraventions of any notification issued by central government. So any type of contraventions is happening with drugs, all the drug is already banned in our country. So this is notified by the central governments. So whether they have prohibiting it, and they have imported as well as these products. Okay. So if these types of phenomenon or offenses is happen, so that time the imprisonment up to 3 years in case of first convictions and fine up to 5,000, and in case of subsequent convictions they have imprisonment up to 5 years and fine up to 10,000 or both. So these are the total import process with the offenses and their penalties of the import of the drugs, okay, and cosmetics of both. And what are the we know about the what are the forms and what are the chapter we have to maintain during the imports of this category of the drugs like C2C, C2C1, C2X, and the other categories of the drugs. So it is the importance of this importing of the drugs and cosmetics. So in next class, we have started the manufacturing of the drugs and cosmetics. So any questions about regarding this class?
স্যার শিডিউল সি C1 আর এক্সটা আর একবার এক্সপ্লেন করে দেবেন?
শিডিউল সি হচ্ছে যে বায়োলজিক্যাল কম্পোনেন্ট গুলো ক্যারি করে, লাইক হচ্ছে প্যারেন্ট্রাল, অপথ্যালমিক, ওকে। বেসিক্যালি হচ্ছে বায়োলজিক্যাল প্যারেন্ট্রাল কোনো ড্রাগস, কোনো অপথ্যালমিক প্রিপারেশন মিন্স আই প্রিপারেশনস, আই ড্রপস, আই অয়েনমেন্টস, এগুলো হচ্ছে শিডিউল সি এর মধ্যে থাকে। আর শিডিউল সি ওয়ান এর মধ্যেও কিছু বায়োলজিক্যাল প্রোডাক্ট থাকে, কিছু ব্লাড প্রোডাক্ট রিলেটেড প্রোডাক্ট থাকে, কিন্তু যেটা থাকে না সেটা হচ্ছে প্যারেন্টাল ড্রাগস বা প্যারেন্টাল প্রোডাক্ট। শিডিউল সি ওয়ান এর মধ্যে কোনো প্যারেন্টাল প্রোডাক্ট থাকতে পারে না। এর মধ্যে অ্যান্টিবায়োটিক্স থাকতে পারে, ব্লাড রিলেটেড প্রোডাক্ট থাকতে পারে, প্লাজমা রিলেটেড প্রোডাক্ট থাকতে পারে, কোনো হরমোনাল প্রোডাক্ট থাকতে পারে, কিন্তু এনি টাইপস অফ প্যারেন্টাল প্রোডাক্ট ইট ইজ নট দেয়ার। আর শিডিউল এক্স ক্যাটাগরি হচ্ছে ধরো কোনো নার্কোটিক ড্রাগস, লাইক যেগুলো কজেস হচ্ছে আমাদের কোনো হ্যালুসিনেশনস হয়, আমরা ডিপেন্ডেন্স হয়ে পড়ি এই সমস্ত ড্রাগের ক্ষেত্রে। সেগুলো হচ্ছে যেমন ওপিয়াম, ক্যানাবিস, অ্যালপ্রাজোলাম, ডায়াজেপাম, ওকে, সিডেটিভ, সালবিটামল, এই সমস্ত ড্রাগগুলো সব আন্ডার হচ্ছে শিডিউল এক্স। ওকে, শিডিউল এক্স গুলোকে আমরা বলি হচ্ছে নার্কোটিক ক্যাটাগরি এন্ড সাইকোট্রপিক ক্যাটাগরি অফ দ্য ড্রাগস। যেহেতু এগুলো ডিপেন্ডেন্স ক্যাটাগরি অফ দ্য ড্রাগস, সেজন্য এগুলোকে খুব সেফলি ইউজ করতে হয় এবং খুব কম ক্যাটাগরিতে এক্সপোর্ট এবং ইম্পোর্ট হয় ফ্রম দ্য আন্ডার দি লাইসেন্স অফ সেন্ট্রাল গভর্নমেন্ট। ঠিক আছে? হ্যালো,
ইয়েস স্যার, ঠিক আছে।
কোনো কোশ্চেন আছে?
স্যার ওই চ্যাপ্টার 3 বলছিলেন একটা অ্যাডস, ওটা কি চ্যাপ্টার 3 টা স্যার?
একটু আস্তে আস্তে বলো, শুনতে পাচ্ছি না।
চ্যাপ্টার 3 একটা অ্যাডস বলেছিলেন না, চ্যাপ্টার 3?
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ, চ্যাপ্টার 3।
হ্যাঁ স্যার, চ্যাপ্টার 3 টা একটু।
চ্যাপ্টার 3 টা বুঝতে পারোনি?
চ্যাপ্টার 3 টা কি স্যার? চ্যাপ্টার 3 টা
চ্যাপ্টার 3 টা হচ্ছে যখনই তোমার কোনো ধরনের কোনো ড্রাগকে তুমি ইম্পোর্ট করতে চাও, তার যে টোটাল প্রসিডিওর সেটা মেনশন থাকে হচ্ছে চ্যাপ্টার 3 তে। অনেকগুলো প্রভিশন আছে ড্রাগ এন্ড কসমেটিক্স অ্যাক্টস এর মধ্যে, চ্যাপ্টার 2, চ্যাপ্টার 3, চ্যাপ্টার 4, ঠিক আছে? চ্যাপ্টার 4 এ আমরা পড়ে আসবো। চ্যাপ্টার 3 তে হচ্ছে যত রকমের ইম্পোর্ট অর ড্রাগস কসমেটিক্স এর প্রসিডিওর আছে, ধরো কিভাবে আমি ইম্পোর্ট করব, ঠিক আছে? যদি কোনো তোমার প্রোডাক্ট ডিফল্ট থাকে তাহলে সেক্ষেত্রে আমরা কি করব, যদি কোনো প্যাকেজিং ম্যাটেরিয়াল ড্যামেজ থাকে সেক্ষেত্রে আমরা কি করব, এই যে প্রভিশনস গুলো, এই প্রভিশন গুলো পয়েন্ট টু পয়েন্ট মেনশন করা আছে হচ্ছে চ্যাপ্টার 3। ঠিক আছে? একটা স্ট্যান্ডার্ড কোয়ালিটি অফ দ্য ড্রাগকে যদি ইম্পোর্ট করতে চাই, তাহলে স্ট্যান্ডার্ড কোয়ালিটি অফ ড্রাগের ক্ষেত্রে আমরা কি কি টেস্ট করব, কি কি প্যারামিটার আমরা মেনটেন করব ডিউরিং দি ইম্পোর্টস অফ দ্য ড্রাগস, এই সমস্ত মেনশন করা আছে চ্যাপ্টার 3।
স্যার
হ্যাঁ,
বলছি স্যার, ফরমেশন অফ শিডিউল এটা কি স্যার চোপড়া কমিটি রেকমেন্ডেশনের মধ্যে পড়ে?
ফরমেশন অফ শিডিউল,
এটা এক্সাম কোশ্চেন, মানে
চোপড়া কমিটি, দেখো চোপড়া কমিটি পুরোপুরি ভাবে কিন্তু এটা রেগুলাইজ করে না, কারণ চোপড়া কমিটি যখন ফর্মেশন হয়েছিল তখন খুব সাম অ্যামাউন্ট অফ শিডিউল খুব কম তৈরি হয়েছিল, কারণ শিডিউলটা তৈরি হয়েছে পরে। যখন তোমার ড্রাগ এন্ড কসমেটিক্স অ্যাক্ট ফার্স্ট শুরু হয়েছিল ড্রাগ অ্যাক্ট হিসেবে, তখন কিন্তু শিডিউল আসেনি। যখন সেটা অ্যাবাউট কনফার্ম হলো যে ড্রাগ এন্ড কসমেটিক্স অ্যাক্ট হিসেবে যেখানে ড্রাগস এবং কসমেটিক দুটো নিয়ে ডিল করবে, তখন ফার্স্ট শিডিউল যেটা হলো সেটা হচ্ছে শিডিউল এ। শিডিউল এ মানে হচ্ছে যে specimens of prescribed forms for making applications for licenses, issues, renewal of licenses, from taking sample, test, analysis, এই যে আমরা লাইসেন্স গুলোকে সাবমিট করছি, রিনিউ করছি, ঠিক আছে? তারপর হচ্ছে টেস্ট অ্যানালাইসিস করছি, এই সমস্ত কিছু শিডিউল এর মধ্যে আছে। আবার শিডিউল বি আছে, শিডিউল বি টা আছে হচ্ছে ডিপেন্ডিং অন দি what kind of samples we are dealing with the central drug laboratory, সিডিএল সম্পর্কে। এই যখন শিডিউল এ বি সি এই যে ক্যাটাগরিগুলো তৈরি হয় তখন কিন্তু চোপড়া কমিটি শুরু করেছিল। কিন্তু এই শিডিউল এবিসি যখন এখন আমাদের কিন্তু শিডিউল এবিসি মেনটেন করা হয় না, এটা চ্যাপ্টার থেকে বাদ দিয়ে দিয়েছে। আমরা এখন ফলো করি হচ্ছে শিডিউল C1 থেকে। তোমরা তোমাদের উৎপল স্যার কি পড়িয়েছে, শিডিউল এবিসি পড়িয়েছে কি?
না না পড়ায়নি।
শিডিউল এবিসিটা এখন বাদ দিয়ে দিয়েছে, এখন তৈরি হচ্ছে শিডিউল সি থেকে পড়াচ্ছে তোমাদের।
শিডিউল শুরু হয়নি তো এখন আমাদের,
এখনো শুরু করেনি স্যার, ঠিক আছে। তো দেখবেন হয়তো স্যার তোমাদের শিডিউল সি থেকে পড়াবে, কারণ শিডিউল এবিসিটা এখন এবিটা বাদ দিয়ে দিয়েছে, এখন মেনশন করা হয় না। এখন সবকিছুই চলে এসছে তোমার ফর্ম 8-এ এন্ড ফর্ম 8-এর মধ্যে, যেটা তো তোমাকে বললাম যে ফর্ম 8 আর ফর্ম 8-এ আর ফর্ম 9 এই তিনটের মধ্যে চলে এসছে, এবং এর আন্ডারে সমস্ত শিডিউল গুলো মেনশন করা, যেমন শিডিউল সি, C1, D1 এগুলো। তো ফার্স্ট যখন তৈরি হয়েছিল তখন শিডিউল ফরমেশন শুরু হয় বাই চোপড়া কমিটি। এই যে শিডিউল এ আর শিডিউল বি এটা মেনশন করতে হচ্ছে চোপড়া কমিটি। কিন্তু আফটার যখন রুলস এন্ড রেগুলেশন হলো 1945-এ ড্রাগ অ্যান্ড কসমেটিক্স অ্যাক্ট, তখন এই ড্রাগ অ্যান্ড কসমেটিক্স অ্যাক্টের যে প্রভিশনস, এদের যে অথরাইজ যে প্রভিশনস, এদের যে পার্সনরা রয়েছে, ওকে, তারা এবার এই যে যারা এক্স অফিসিও মেম্বার্স, ওকে, তারপরে হচ্ছে যারা তোমার ইলেক্টেড পার্সনস, এই সমস্ত পার্সনরা নিজেরা এরা শিডিউল তৈরি করা অথরিটি নিল, তারা সেখান থেকে আবার শিডিউল সি, শিডিউল C1 এবং ডিফারেন্ট টাইপের শিডিউলগুলো তৈরি করে। বুঝতে পেরেছো?
হ্যাঁ স্যার।
চোপড়া কমিটি জাস্ট একটা ট্রিগার ইনিশিয়েটর করেছিল যে শিডিউল তৈরি করতে হবে, এই ওয়াইজ তারা আপ টু সিরিয়াল অবধি একটা শিডিউল তৈরি করেছিল, কিন্তু তারপর থেকে তার প্রভিশনটা মেনশন মানে কন্টিনিউ করেছে হচ্ছে এই ড্রাগ কসমেটিক্স রুলস এন্ড রেগুলেশন গুলো, ড্রাগস অ্যাক্ট। আমি অ্যাটেন্ডেন্স ফর্মটা দিয়েছি, ফিল আপ করে নাও। তাহলে আমি এন্ড করছি আজকের সেশনটা।